Hi, my name is Brianna, and today I will be discussing human trafficking. So, you might be wondering, what is human trafficking? I used to believe that human trafficking was simply the abduction of young girls into sex slavery, and for the most part that is true, but human trafficking actually entails a lot more than that. So, human trafficking is defined as the commodification and exploitation of a human body. There are various forms of human trafficking, such as sexual exploitation, labor exploitation, the selling of one's organs, forced military service, forced marriages, and etc. Currently, the two most common forms of human trafficking include sexual exploitation and labor exploitation. This is currently a worldwide epidemic, and this is due in part to a number of reasons. Some of these reasons include states of political unrest across the world. When there's political unrest, there's typically weakened government systems, and weakened government systems, of course, lead to a lot of other issues, such as acts of terrorism, which also make human trafficking more apparent. Effects of globalization, such as better communication and technologies, have made it easier for trafficking to occur across the country and across the countries and across the world. So the presence of human trafficking has been documented well throughout the course of our history. Just about every nation in the world has at some point or another been included in acts of trafficking. Some of the most significant cases of trafficking occurred with the European slave trade, which occurred during the 14th century. Around this time was when European nations began to trade African slaves in exchange for wealth and raw materials. Even the building and foundation of our country was built because of slaves, which of course were a product of the human trafficking slave trade. Acts of sexual exploitation in America occur all across America. There is no one particular area that doesn't receive it or that does. It affects every person, and anybody can be a victim, but usually traffickers seek out those who are most vulnerable. And in America, those who are most vulnerable are typically women, and women who are either runaways, homeless, or are just not receiving the attention from family that they deserve. Traffickers usually rely on psychological manipulation as well as coercion. Of course, deceit and lying is almost necessary in these types of situations. Violence and domestic abuse, and it's a lot, and it's hard for victims to get out and feel safe when they do, and if they are trying to reach for help, sometimes they're not really seen as victims but as criminals themselves, which is obviously not the case. And currently there is work being done in kind of changing this mindset and this perspective that honestly needs some work. In America, technology is extremely important in creating and establishing levels of communication between either traffickers and their victims and clients as well, with sites like Craigslist and the recently indicted Backpages. Trafficking was like super easy, and you can be behind a screen and find someone to have sex with, and they can come to your house. And fortunately enough for us, there are many opportunities and many organizations that one can join to help spread awareness of this deeply, deeply frustrating issue. I believe that with awareness we can solve just about any problem. The government of our government, at least, has done a lot actually in trying to make some change, and they've partnered with local law enforcement agencies and private organizations. I think the last key in truly making an impactful message is us. We are the last key necessary in creating a change that can be beneficial to not just our country but to the whole world. It's important to give these people a voice when they've been silenced for so long, and us to be privileged enough to have a voice, we have to use them, because if we're not going to speak up for them, who will? Thank you.